All right. Well, this is your show.
No, it's not.
Oh, no, it's not. It's my show. And of course, Jim.
Yes.
There was a big show this past week. The Survivor Series from Petco Park in San Diego, home of the San Diego Padres. Survivor Series WarGames, the official name. Let's talk about it.
What is it? The arena in San Diego? What is the Feeders Supply Playhouse? What is it?
Petco Park.
God damn it. Again. I've got nothing against the furry little friends. You know, I love the dogs and the cats and the squirrels and the monkeys and all the little animals, right? But it sounds like that's where you go to have a dog get together and play date. Where the Petco Park, let's go down with the dogs. It's not like a sports arena. Shouldn't they have rethought that? I know the naming rights and the sponsorships and everything, but could it have been like Petco presents the Fight Pit?
For baseball?
Something like that.
For baseball?
Petco presents the Batting Zone.
That's not bad. Petco's Batting Zone. The Batting Zone.
Batting Zone,
yeah,
yes.
That's not bad.
And then every time somebody comes in at the door, they hand them a fucking bat. Now, they got to give it back when they leave. They can't afford to just give them out every time. And it can be the batting zone, and goddamn things will be settled in the batting zone.
I don't think you want to give the general public in San Diego baseball bats to enter an arena and go to town, but there was a big show, as we were saying before, WWE, yes. A big crowd for WarGames.
They could have given this crowd fucking bats. I don't think they'd have fucking bothered anybody. Boy, they're mild these days. So I want to talk for just a second, Brian, about how I watched this thing, because here's what I did. Because, you know, now that they've gone to the new app, that I assume that's short for application or appliance, or what is that short for?
Application.
The new application. They've gone to the new application. So I had to think for a minute. I sat down at my TV and I said, which one of these things am I supposed to click on? Disney. Of course, when I think of wrestling, I think of Disney. And I click on that, and instead of popping up like it did last time, the screen pops up, we don't recognize your account. Does your household have an account? Well, goddamn, then I've got to go get Stacy. Said, does our household have an account? Yes. Well, can you tell my TV what the fucking account is? She comes in, gets the remote, and it sends her an email to her email, so with a code that she can enter into the goddamn TV to recognize our account. And then I go back to the Disney thing, and then they've got every goddamn thing on. I have to, it's not like it's just, well, here's Survivor Series. I have to go to the search thing and W and E. And then it pops up and I can click on the replay of said Survivor Series show. And then it pops up. We have gone backwards as a species. In 1979, it was turn on channel 3.
You know, the other day, my daughter was home from school, and she wanted to watch the big finale of Dancing with the Stars. Never watched this show because I'm a man. But she wanted to watch it. She took over the living room for the big finale of Dancing with the Stars on Hulu. She was streaming it on Hulu. And I said, you know, it's on Channel 7, ABC, right? She had no idea what the hell I was talking about. She doesn't know what Channel 7 is. She doesn't watch TV. Everything's streaming. I put it on Channel 7 in the kitchen. It ended 1 minute there before it did on Hulu, so I knew who won. The Crocodile Hunters kid.
Can we do an old version of the Wizard Swerve on that sometime and win some money on that?
The Wizard Swerve?
I can't reveal it. I might need to use that on somebody. I'll tell you off the air. Anyway, I'm serious. That one, I'm not blowing that one. You goddamn. But nevertheless, back to this show. So once I started watching it, again, for the people who are determined to hear what they want to hear, some people are going to say, oh, goddamn, he's just blowing the WWE. And other people who want to hear a different thing will say, oh, goddamn, he just hates everything. Because I'm going to say a couple good things and a couple of bad things. And they'll filter each one out. But from the open of this show, and again, the travel log, the aerials, the drone shots, the street scenes, the goddamn, it's a network. I don't even know if network television quality is a compliment anymore. It is a state-of-the-art video production of a major event. I don't understand why everybody has to have a coffee or a fucking drink cup in their hand when they walk in a stagey way into the arena. Usually with me and the guys I was managing would walk in the arena, we looked like we'd been beaten with fucking rubber hoses. We're getting out of the car after 8 hours in the fucking summertime and the people are throwing things at us. But they went from all of the business of making the stadium look like the greatest, thing in the world. Did you watch the cold open, or do you, because here on the flip side, all this shit does take some time to show. They do a wonderful job of the production of it, but it is just, it's like watching golf in some cases. And here's the 18th green at the Masters, and they got the drone shot. Everybody's standing around with their putter in their fucking hand. But did you watch the cold open, the photographer's darkroom thing?
I did not, just because I was still getting everything ready to come sit down and watch it for a while without getting up. I saw the women's Vegas thing, but I don't know if they showed that at the beginning or when I saw that.
Oh, well, I don't know about the women. If they're making some extra money in Vegas, then bless them. There's no stigma to that kind of work anymore, but I'm not talking about that. They did a cold open where it was like the photographer led you into the dark room. And they had the voiceover of the moments and the thing that I can't do the cold open here, cold off top of my head, but it was a video masterpiece as far as shooting it, editing it, putting it together with the footage. They had to have the goddamn legitimate photography equipment and et cetera that, they just, again, it's amazing. It's fucking state-of-the-art shit. And I'm thinking, it used to be the play's the thing, right? The box has started overwhelming the gift on this show. This is the most state-of-the-art television production and shooting and videography and editing and technologically, and then it's like, let's get the match over with. Do you have that the sizzle versus the steak ratio? Has a lot of that sizzle and smell is taken. I don't smell, but the sizzle instead of the actual chewing of the meal.
Yeah, you're onto something here, and I think it's something that they got away with a lot during the height of the Bloodline because of how hot things were. I mean, everything was hot. Now it's not so hot, so it appears more apparent. A lot of it's the Paul Heyman influence. A lot of it's the little, I brought up the Vegas videos they've done now. Things that don't actually help the business or anything. It's about producing vibes. Giving people vibes. It's more about vibes than action. It's about being at the wrestling event as opposed to, I need to see this specific thing.
So you're saying if you've got your vibrator on the correct setting, then the actual action doesn't matter.
Well, I said Paul Heyman, maybe his vibrator. I
don't know what you know about Paul, but once again, I mean, there's no stigma to that kind of thing anymore. But
from what I understand, it looks like an old cellular phone. But I guess my point is, it's about the feeling as opposed to, it's a very different way of marketing the company and wrestling, where it's about being in a moment as opposed to who's actually in that moment and what led up to it and what's happening here. And I can't wait to see this match.
But boy, they shoot it great. They just make it look wonderful. All right. We opened the show with the women's war games. And let me again just say this for the people who think, oh, he's going to hate all over that and everything. Women, men, clowns wearing floppy shoes. If AEW wanted to take the edge off of the competitor here, the last thing that I want to see after that AEW pay-per-view was anybody else in a fucking cage. And I didn't want to see most of what they gave me of all the people in a cage. Or not the AEW pay-per-view, but the TV special the week before the pay-per-view, where they gave us another fucking cage match, and it sucked. At this point, I think they need to fucking stick the cage in the warehouse for a few years and make people just demand it again before they just... Are you sick and fed up with it's just constant?
Well, even if AEW didn't do it, the fact that it's now an annual thing, they did it in 87, they brought it back in 88, 89 was the one you were in. No War Games in 90, 91, 92. It was kind of an annual thing, I guess, from that point forward, but it's now taken over Survivor Series. 2 War Games matches, that's half the roster. It takes over Survivor Series, and, they're just using it now as an annual thing, like Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank. What do you think of the 2 different cages? AEW had an incredibly tall cage, but with a roof. Although there were holes in the side that women can crawl out of, if you remember during that match. And WWE...
It was like a fucking Hanna-Barbera cage. Oh, but wait, I'll just...
And WWE had their cage, no roof, which of course gives you the ability to jump off the top of it with a garbage can on your head.
Well, and we'll get to all of these things. But basically, the women's match was first of the night, and they're in the giant stadium, so the entranceway guaranteed about a 5-minute entrance for everybody.
Oh, what did you think of this year? They didn't do the cage. Remember last year they had a cage and they had all the competitors in there, and you had to wait for the buzzer, and then you get to watch the other person leave the cage and go to the ring. This year,
oh, that's right,
no cage. Everyone was in the back, and they got called out one by one.
Well, and here's how I can change with the times. Brian, mark this one down in your little black book, wherever you keep it. In the original War Games, when it was the Horsemen versus Dusty's superpowers, whatever, the idea that those guys were all at ringside, but they were only allowed into this locked structure, first 2 and then 1 at a time, and there was nothing they could do about it but wait, and they're screaming and exhorting their guys on. It added to the tension because the people believed it, and it was clearly defined what was going on, and it was a new type of thing, so it added energy with all of them at ringside, because the people were, if you go back, even though they weren't technical masterpieces, sometimes because of the limitations of the cage, and we'll talk about that when we get to the men's cage. I noticed something, but the point being, they kept it moving, and there was such violence, and there was such animosity, there was such emotion, and there were the ebbs and flows instead of this meandering back and forth and setting up big stunts and extra gimmicks. In the original War Games, the people were with it. If you go back and watch, Brian, am I wishful remembering? Or do you not remember the people are going, yeah, pretty much through the whole goddamn deal?
No, I was thinking about it during this event because my favorite War Games is actually the one in 92. The Dangerous Alliance versus Sting's Squadron, where you have Sting, Nikita Koloff, Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and Ricky Steamboat against Rick Rude, Steve Austin, Bobby Eaton, Arn Anderson, and Larry Zbyszko, with Heyman and Medusa at ringside or cage side. That's one of my favorite ones. That's not exactly a period of time where you think, oh, WCW was really hot. The fans were. The fans that were there were. And when you think about that, when you think about 91, the Horsemen versus all the baby faces, when you think about 89, the Samoans and the Freebirds against the Midnight Express, the Road Warriors, and Dr. Death, the fans were into those matches.
Well,
It's a
that's
different feeling for these matches, a different thing
yeah.
altogether.
So in this modern situation, a lot of times the some of the biggest pops are just when the fucking guy comes out. The people, oh, it's Brock. Oh shit, it's Brock. So they should stay back in the back because sometimes elsewise, what the fuck else is there to do? They're both the women and the men in the WWE, the War Games matches are not going to be unprofessional, sloppy, fucking stupid, like thumbtacks and broken glass or goddamn preposterous, you know, dangerous shit like that. But the WWE men's and women's War Games are going to be preposterous at points where they're having this big goddamn heated fight and then everybody just stops because here comes a guy walking down the aisle. Which, you know, it just, it's a whole different fucking feel. So you're not gonna get the stupidity and the unprofessionalism and the indie shit that you get in AEW and this, but what you are gonna get is just a bunch of people doing a bunch of moves to each other in the cage until the big stars, which dominated the last match, the main event, all get in and then they tell their story and they're done. Which would you like to be? Beaten to death with a goddamn spiked club or bored to death until you fucking have to prop your eyeballs up with fucking toothpicks?
Again, not to compare this to the classic War Games, but this was more in line with that in terms of not needing a bunch of extra gimmicks. Sure, there's a lot of moments where people are waiting around for someone to jump on them, or specific to the women's match. I remember at one point when Lash Legend came in, I was about to call her Lash LaRue. When Lash Legend came in, there was like a spot with her and Nia Jax where clearly they had planned it out in advance in their head, and then they went to do it, and it looked like two people who planned something out in their head, and you couldn't do it as well in real time as it was in your head. You didn't see that kind of stuff in the old War Games. It was just a battle. The AEW one went way too far. So I consider this more in line with the classic War Games, actually, than the AEW, you know, independent version of War Games.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I don't know whether to say this now or to save it for the men. I'll just say it now. If I, again, was the men in this particular War Games with every top main event star in the company in the same match, I would have, as a group, gone to Triple H or Nick Khan or whoever needs to be gone to and say, no, we're not going to go out and do this if the women are going to go out and do it an hour and a half beforehand. Because what the fuck, why?
Well, let's talk about the actual match. Yeah.
So again, Charlotte and our friend Oscar started for the first 5 minutes. And I did note that Oscar's so short, when they go to run her head into the top turnbuckle, she has to jump up to hit it. And I don't particularly like her and Charlotte's. She does a bunch of kicks and strikes, and Charlotte's trying to wrestle, and I don't think they fit. And then here came Io Sky with a custom garbage can lid with her name painted on it, that she would later on, somehow the can would show up also. But I said, this is the thing. It's a performance of aggressive parkour, as you used to call it. And I'm not just saying this for the women also. This is the vibe I'm getting. They're coming out and out of this dangerous double cage structure War Games with custom painted garbage cans. And then she got in and Charlotte disappeared for her breather while her and Io and Oscar did the do-si-do like two children in a fucking War Games. And then Io's laughing through the whole thing. And then Becky comes out. She's a major star. But when she comes out, Io had been on top of Oscar, and as soon as the music plays, she just let her hold go. It just got up. And Becky comes in and beats up Io with a kendo stick, which we'd never seen before. And the fans liked Charlotte against Becky. We got that for a minute. And then Alexa Bliss came in, and she and Charlotte are friends, and I zoned out. And then Carrie Sane came out with I swear to God, was the color fluorescent green or lime green, Brian? The chain, the 5 or 6 foot alleged metal chain that was painted a bright Kermit the Frog green that she came. What color would you describe?
I'm no expert in green. I couldn't tell you. You know, you've seen plenty of green in the wrestling business, so maybe you know better.
Well, I see a lot of people that are greener than chlorophyll these days. Green as a pepper tree.
Did you see when she threw the chain down after she first used it? Even the commentator was like, I think it may have even been Michael Cole, like, why did she throw the chain down?
Yes, because she gets in and she punched Alexa Bliss in the face, allegedly, with this big old chain wrapped around her hand, and then dropped it. And then as she picked it up later on and hit Charlotte, it looked like even harder with his chain in the face, no teeth, no blood. I'm not saying she should potato these, but it's ridiculous. And not only are the girls using chains and garbage cans and kendo sticks, but they're painted custom colors to match their ring attire. I wrote during this, I do not detect the house being torn down. And you know what? Then here came AJ Lee. And they woke up a bit for this. And this again, instead of doing the cartwheeling, fucking Ed Sullivan show routine.
Yeah, the skipping.
No, I'm talking about the match instead of doing cartwheeling and acrobatics in their match in the cage, Becky Lynch and AJ Lee bring it down to basic. Oh shit, she's coming to beat me up. And AJ didn't skip, and Becky Lynch is scared that she's coming and is holding the door. No. And so AJ climbs over the top and comes off the top on a couple of the heels and goes after Becky. And they got the crowd up because they were, instead of, again, a bunch of girls that were just walking through performance of routine. How did you mention it? That they had pre-planned in their head, whatever you said a few minutes ago. Oh, shit, somebody's shitting their pants. Becky Lynch is scared. She's trying to climb the cage, get away. Oh, AJ's going to get a hold of her. Oh, she's beating her up. It's just some basic wrestling shit in the middle of this suddenly. And the crowd got up for that when she was ramming Becky into the cage over and over. And then the heels stopped AJ and the baby faces helped her out. And then here came the Refrigerator Jax. And she got in the ring and aggressively walked into Alexa Bliss and Charlotte with shoulder tackles. And not, am I overstating that, Brian? Is that too violent sounding when I say she aggressively walked into them?
Maybe. It may not work like that.
Then she ran her ass into them, and that she's got a new outfit. She's not wearing the old thing where she looks like the fucking inflatable crash pad in the pleather. She now looks like a Starburst fruit chew factory. But she looks like she's doing well. And then here came Rhea Ripley, and now they woke up because she's the star of the show. As I believe I've mentioned on numerous occasions, people don't believe me until everybody goes, oh, shit, it's Rhea. But she came out with a trash can in a bag of kendo sticks. And she wailed on the heels with the sticks and then started wrestling Becky and then beat up some of the other ones. But again, it's like they're having a hardcore match and oh goddamn, this cage is getting in the way. It's a hat on a hat, it's whatever we want to say. It's just what else in the world is there to do? And then here comes the aforementioned Lash LaRue. And I gotta be honest with you, she has plenty of fucking heel attitude. And she was just taking her fucking time and walking to that ring, and not a soul did they even know who the fuck she was. She's been on TV like 2 weeks, right? But usually people pop just for, oh, it's somebody coming with music. It was just like, what the fuck's happening?
No, she hasn't really been given great exposure on the main roster. She's appeared on SmackDown. She used to have a tag team partner with her. And then now she's just there. She's the newbie. But she's got a great look. She's got great size.
I know. That's why I said she looks impressive. And you would think somebody would go, ooh. But it was just like, were they getting tired of this by this point? Is maybe a question I should be asking. But she got in the ring and stood there and didn't do anything for an uncomfortable second. And then she beat up everybody. And then they did a choreographed spot between her and Rhea Ripley where you didn't know who was going to win it between the Power Girls. And then old Lash got it with a kick and a 2 count. And then the fridge came in. I think she may be a bigger project than Jade was, because we saw her in NXT, 5 years ago? Is this what they've done in 5 years? She looks impressive.
Yes, she does.
Nevertheless, I don't sense a full-throated endorsement for her work from you.
She looks impressive. This wasn't exactly the right forum to show off working ability, I wouldn't think.
Well, no, but ability to goddamn look like you're not fucking lost in the middle of fucking a strange neighborhood. They might have knocked that off by this point. Nevertheless, they all did some shit. And then Oscar went to mist somebody, but misted Lash instead. She did not miss with the mist on that miss. See what I did there? And then the baby faces made the comeback, and then Io Sky climbed to the top of the cage and put the garbage can, and they had Rhea boost AJ up to hand her the garbage can so she could put it over her head. And she flipped off instead of a backflip, it was just a forward flip, just a cannonball type of thing, off the top of the cage, wearing the can onto all of the other 4 heels and other girls, ancillary girls standing around to catch her. And if it sounds preposterous, it looked like it on the broadcast, but when you see the fan cam, have you seen this, Brian? The fan cam from way up in the stands of the entire scene with the ring and her on top and everything. Have you seen that?
I did not. I did not see fan I did not see fan cam footage of that, no.
Well, you ought to do that on your way to speech therapy next week. Stop by and look at this footage, because they're standing there forever. This was on Twitter. You could say they're just all lined up in the middle of the ring, weebling and wobbling, looking up at this idiot with wearing a garbage can, obstructing her vision. But I think I saw her give a little signal like, move over a little to the left. From reaching from underneath the garbage can, she's peeking. But no, it's just ridiculous. to all those people there. They're seeing this. Oh, we got to stand here and wait. No, now here she comes. Oh my God, she's hitting us. Fuck. And then Becky tried to climb out, but the baby faces caught her and gave her a couple of big moves. And AJ made her tap out with the Black Widow and actually went into that slicker than come on a gold tooth, as they say. Are you rustling around in your goddamn environment?
I was trying to move in my chair here. My chair's pissing me off.
What are you doing? Well, that's what. Hey, I still sat in the show was pissing me off, but I still sat in my chair to watch it. And the good girls won. Good girls won. What'd you think of the whole shebang? Well, I can see what I did there.
I thought it was all right. Again, it's a different animal. I wasn't expecting a classic WarGames, nor was it the right thing to do. They opened the show with this. You knew what they were closing with. It was more enjoyable. The AEW women's one I enjoyed. The men's one I had a problem. The women's one was such a shit show, I was endlessly entertained by it. This one I was entertained by too. Again, it's a different animal. When you know they're going to do a trash can spot, and you're waiting like a half hour. Oh, at some point, she's got to climb up that cage and do it. And then she doesn't. Even the commentator's like, everyone's been waiting for this because that's what she's known for now is the trash can jump. I thought she took out her own knee. If you watched the way she landed, her legs were under her. But, she seemed to be okay.
I'm just thinking in years ago, what do you think is your greatest legacy? Wearing the garbage can and jumping off the top.
I didn't see that fan cam footage, but that's the problem because in advance they knew they were going to do this spot and there's no way to credibly have everyone there waiting to catch the garbage pan girl unless they're all just standing there waiting. You could kind of shove each other and almost take a punch, but in 2 seconds you got to turn around and look at the garbage can flying at your head.
Well, yes, and I'm sure, and it's a wonderful custom garbage can that I'm sure is free from sharp edges and all that type of thing. But still, is some fucking idiot that weighs 106 pounds, maybe, in a goddamn can of some description, coming at you from 15 feet in the air, kind of blind. And again, why? Why is fucking stupid?
I liked AJ Lee running to the cage as opposed to the skipping she always does. This was the time, do it. It's supposed to be a serious match. Yeah. That move she does, forgive me for not knowing the name. I watch a lot of this on mute because
the Black Widow, the Inoki octopus kind of
No,
thingy.
But she does it so smooth and so quick. Yes. It's beautiful to watch. It really is just incredible to watch her so quickly hit that thing, and I like that.
And kudos to Becky also because you gotta be in the right place to get that smooth, but that was just it was a thing of beauty on the finish there.
And Becky and AJ are both smaller girls, so them working with each other makes sense and is good because no one's too big. Rhea's a bigger woman, and now they have other women that are kind of, when I say bigger, just in terms of like muscle mass, size, height. Now all of a sudden you have
you're not going to be accused of being any more of an asshole than you are if you just come out and say she's bigger. Everybody understands or should understand the difference between Rhea Ripley being bigger, not being an insult to anybody's fucking body shaming or whatever.
Becky Lynch, though, I go back and forth on her because sometimes she does her promos and it almost comes across like she's, not that she's workshopped it, but she has something in her head and she's going to do it no matter what. And sometimes it doesn't feel natural. There was a promo she did on Raw this past week where she was like introing all the heels on her team. And I thought it was great. I was really into just how manic as a crazy heel she was. And I'm really enjoying what she's doing right now.
And personal issues draw money. There you go.
There you go. And that was the Trash Can Women's War Games. We'll see who Io Sky will jump on next year. But of course, Jim, when it comes to moments like trash can jumping, whether in Petco Park or any other stadium, you want to capture those moments and perhaps keep them in a frame nearby to remember that day that maybe the recycling or the trash man didn't come, but there was a girl taking out All the trash frustrations on the rest of the world. Of course, Aura frames, Jim.
What in the world? I thought when you went to the girl who was taking potentially off her clothing for the Aura frames, but then you went in a whole different direction. Folks, you don't have to take off your clothes to be a part of the Aura frame phenomenon. Know that you can put pictures of yourself fully clothed in there. See, I just told a couple of people that other thing just to see what would happen.
Hey.
But nevertheless, right now, folks, if the holidays and family go together, and if you can't be together with the family on the holidays, then the next best thing to do is have a picture of them easily and readily accessible and visible to where you can, and sometimes if you have a picture of your family members easily accessible and viewable where you want it, it can remind you how happy you are that they're not just right on top of you right now, but that there is some level of distance to provide some buffer zone. Any way you want to do it, our friends at Aura Frames have got you figured out because we've been talking about it. They have got the best-selling Carver mat frames. They've been named #1 by everybody in the world. And what it is a frame that can hold countless different photos and videos with audio, all of this type of stuff. And you can provide a slideshow. You can load your loved one's frame and send it to them, or you can get your loved one loaded later. You can send them the frame, and then you can send them pictures from your phone and your various devices of things that everybody's got these security cameras up their ass. Send grandma security footage of somebody sneaking into little Heidi's bedroom window late at night. It's her boyfriend.
Again, these may not be the best examples.
About these things.
Boyfriend. These may not be the best examples we can use for photos that you'd want to display in your house.
Grandma needs to know what's going on with the family. Just feed grandma the security video of your garage. Just right there, and she'll know what's going on with the whole family.
Listen, feed grandma. That's a separate interaction. Feed grandma. Do that, but also get a wonderful frame for yourself or her family members like grandma as a gift this holiday season. These are spectacular. We have a couple here in the house. Of course, I brought it up before, my favorite feature, Jim. When you turn off the lights in the bedroom, they shut themselves off so you don't have that glare of the photos. But wonderful, beautiful frames.
Yes, they go into hiding. They can still see you, of course, with the infrared camera.
They don't see you. Don't tell people that. There is nothing that's going to be watching you except yourself in your own inner mind. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, these frames are spectacular. They also play live videos. Live photos as videos. They play things. Here's Jim Cornette.
And another journey to the center of the mind. Yes, folks, and right now you can save money because, like I said, you can do all these things and more that your little hearts and devious minds can devise of with the frames from Aura Frames, and you can share these lovely things with all members of your family. And my lovely wife, Stacy, and her mother and her nephew, not her mother's nephew, but Stacy's nephew. You know what I'm saying? They're all hooked up for these things. And they can see the various pictures back and forth and share them and change them and pet them and hug them and call them George. You can too, because for a limited time, you can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com, A-U-R-A, auraframes.com, and get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames by using the promo code JCE at your checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code JCE, $35 off. The frame's going fast, and we're into December now, so if you don't want to be left with a picture of Diddle Squat for presents for the holidays, well, jack your ass into gear. And $35 off. That's not, right there, $35 could feed a homeless department store Santa Claus for at least 3 days, if you look at it that way.
Once again, a fine gift, a fine product, one that we love here in this house. I know they're big fans of it at Castle Cornette. Aura Frames. Jim, one more time, that wonderful promo code.
It is JCE.
That's right, auraframes.com/JCE. All right, Jim, a lot of drama building to this point in the show.
You woke me up with that one.
We're back at the Survivor Series Petco Park, and a big match. We were wondering what was going to happen for the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena defending against Dominic Mysterio.
Well, I guess I was wrong when I said I bet you Cena's going to drop it to Gunther on the Saturday night's main event. I was wrong about that. Maybe they got bigger fish for Gunther to fry. But I mean, there was parts of this match that I liked, parts that I understood why they were initially doing it. And by the time that it was over, it became, after it had turned into an Andrew Lloyd Webber production on Broadway or whatever, with everything just comes to a halt it was interesting. Very interesting. They obviously thought that people were going to stage some kind of riot and cheer Dominic in his hometown and boo Cena out of the building. I would imagine that's why they constructed this as they did when they sent Dominic out with Rochelle and Roxanne Perez right off the bat. And they milked Cena's music for quite some time, to the point where you thought, are they going to swerve us? What the fuck is going on? And then they hit the music and the place blew. And I'll tell you, when they showed Cena's entrance, they had people on the floor all the way back to the back, didn't they? And all the way around in the bowl or whatever, because they had like 6 feet in between the video wall and the barricades. But he's having fun, and he got lots of pops, and he got the thank you chants and all that stuff. And then they start, and the very first spot is he hits the ropes, and Roxanne Perez trips him. And Dominic takes over. And I thought, okay, they sent the girls out so that, Dominic would have the heat magnets at ringside, and that would, help establish him more as a heel. And then, not too long afterwards, Rochelle got up on the apron of the ring and just leveled Cena with a fucking punch. And Dominic's healing like crazy. I mean, his body language and taunting the people, and okay, they're establishing that. And then when Cena fired back and Dominic bailed, the girls distracted him, and Dominic stopped him again and beat him up on the floor a little bit. But I wrote at that point, they're having a spot show match. They're doing almost nothing but working the people, and the crowd is loving it. So this is not bad. Although right then, that's when Dominic does the Hurricane Rana off the barricade and lands straight on his head. Was he just trying to take the piss out of Penta with that? Do you think that they did it this week? That specific thing? It was in the news, at least. But then, are you with me so far, Brian? On where they're building up a thing nicely. They're getting the heat. They're having some fun. Nothing out of the way so far.
I'm with you. Let me just say here in advance, this is my favorite match of the night. And I know there's plenty of problems with different things in it, but I enjoyed this by and large more than any other John Cena match I've seen in his comeback or his retirement year. And I'm with you on what you've been saying so far. And of course, that's what I figured too. That's why the women are there. They're there to give Dominic the edge he would need, clearly, against a John Cena. I mean, look at Dominic, look at John Cena. Dominic's a main event heel, not because he's pretending to be a Hulk. He needs a way to get to Cena.
Right. And I will say that I think, who was it? Cena and AJ athletically Cena, that was probably his best in-ring match, but this one had more flavor, more seasoning, more issue, more heel babyface dynamic. So I see again where you're going, and I was going there. And they do the spot where he lands on his head, and the referee checks him, and they stall, and they call for the medic, and the doctor's checking him. And I'm thinking, I know although he took a nice looking bump if you were going to claim injury. And by the way, Dominic, 87750 Steve, if it starts nagging you. But they're losing their momentum here. I knew it was going to be a subterfuge, but then in the ring, while the medics and everybody they're checking on Dominic, Rochelle gives Cena her fucking finish, the big power bomb thing. And then Perez gives her finish thing to him. Doesn't pick him up, but you know what I'm saying. But now the girls are just fucking flinging Cena around. And then Dominic popped up and ran in and gave him a 619 and a big fucking splash, but the referee wouldn't count it because you tricked me, you prevaricator.
Well, let me stop you there because you just recapped a lot. Let's break it all down because this was one of the more interesting parts of the match here. The injury on the floor. Did you buy it at all? I bought it. I thought, okay, something happened because they were playing it out so well, but you could tell something was wonky.
Well, at first, when he landed on his head, I said, that didn't look good. But then the longer that it was, as soon as the girls did the spot, I'm like, okay, he's fine. But it looked like he was good because that's, again, an old trope is the word the kids use these days, but to me, it lost some momentum there, but it got the pop when he came in and blah, blah, blah. And that got the referee to kick the girls out of ringside.
Because, one of my first thoughts was, I always think back to like Terry Funk when Mick Foley got hurt in the Hell in a Cell. He knew he had to do something with The Undertaker just to give them time to figure out if Mick was alive. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's what they're doing here, but obviously that wasn't it. Do you have a problem with Raquel doing a move to Cena and very differently, and a very different kind of move? Any issue with Roxanne doing almost like a Canadian Destroyer? I forget the exact name of it, but doing a flipping move onto Cena.
The sunset flip power bomby thingy. But first of all, as soon as I saw the doctors go to check on Dominic and they were doing hand gestures like they were concerned, I'm like, okay, a little thing, but that was the tip off. And then with the girls running in and doing the spots, then okay, he's fine. But I can understand. How about one of them? How about both of the girls do one thing? Or Cena had been bending over trying to get up and the girl flips over him or whatever the fuck. But I know Raquel is a large lady, but just picking him up and flinging him around. But he's trying to be generous on his way out. But then that sparked his comeback. And the you can't see me and etc. And then Dominic had unzipped his boot like he was going for the boot gimmick, but Cena grabbed his foot and pulled it off and was surprised. So Dom hit the 619 and another splash and got a 2 count and then put his boot back on. And Cena hit an AA and got a 2 count. And then they bumped the referee. And again, Cena goes for the tackle and Dominic ducked, I believe, right? And he shoulder tackled the referee is what he did, correct?
Yeah. And again, it plays into the fact that the referee had a larger than usual role in this match, refusing to count the 3 for Dominic when he had Cena. What did you think of that?
Well, that wasn't bad because that gave the heel a bit of a gripe, but at the same time, the referee was naturally say, you suckered me. You played me with this, with this bullshit, the playing possum and get your girls out of here. That I could go for. But the referee, it was a shoulder tackle on this bump is what I'm trying to say. They have basically the referee is going to be paralyzed for the next 3 to 4 minutes from an errant shoulder tackle. And again, we go into the musical number in fucking, Oklahoma, where everything comes to a stop and they do their business. And in all this time in a pay-per-view match, no other referee has been, hey, fucking Joe's down, Bill, get the fuck out there. Anything. It just, even if you could just make it a little more convincing that the referee needs to stay down for 3 fucking minutes. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
It bugs me. I was taught finishes where everybody is supposed to be accounted for and legitimately involved in something to where they're not going to look like fucking dicks.
Well, you see, Eddie Graham never had that problem in his intricate finishes of stopping for a production midway through it.
Well, anyway, so now the referee's gone. And Cena gets the fucking STFU, and here comes JD and Finn. And they start beating Cena up, but then Cena turns it around and beats them up. And he gives both of them the AA. But Dominic gets the title belt and rolls in, and now I wrote the referee's been down for 3 minutes. And they're still going. Dominic takes his time, swings a fucking belt. Cena ducks, hits him with an attitude adjustment. Now Cena's calling for a referee. Imagine that. But music plays. And it's Liv Morgan. Because I guess, fucking the star of the play was booked, for heaven's sake. It could have been, Rita Moreno or somebody dancing down in the high heels.
What?
Well, this is Broadway now. We've stopped having our match. The match is, we'll do that here in a minute. It's all fucking showbiz.
Big pop for Liv, who hasn't been seen since she hurt her shoulder, and no one knew when she was going to come back, but I gotta say, I didn't hear anyone bring her up in the conversation around this match, so it was a surprise.
Well, and she and Dominic have had a thing. But Dominic's out there with 2 other women. So I wonder if Dominic's thing has come between them. But anyway, go ahead.
Who is stronger? Who is stronger than Dominic's shoot wife? Putting up with the way he's been booked in a relationship with Rhea Ripley, in a relationship with Liv Morgan, who's all over him on TV. Whatever's going on with him and Roxanne. Meanwhile, he's got a wife at home watching this.
Well, wait a minute. How old is Dominic now? Do you remember?
I don't remember. 28?
You just did the age thing. So he's 20. Let's say he's 28. His wife has access to his bank book. I'm sure she is fucking fine with everything. But nevertheless, there's Liv and Dom looking at each other. Face to face, they faced each other. And then she swung at him and missed his head, but he sold the shit out of it anyway, but it actually works with what they're about to do. But he went down like Tyson had hit him. And then Liv jumped up in Cena's arms and gave him a big hug, and then he put her down, and then she kicked him right in the balls. Swerve!
A couple of things here. She didn't hit Dom in the best way, which, considering what happened, makes sense. But secondly, she jumped into Cena's arms, and you kind of buy it because she's crazy. And this is after Cena's awful acting, while her and Dom are having their moment in the ring, and they're good at it. Cena doesn't know how to, just be there, so he puts on the droopy dog face and, points and, doesn't know how to react, and
He looked like Jim Varney ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, that's exactly, actually, now that I think about it, what he would have looked like. And that's what it looked like, ladies and gentlemen. Ernest watches Dom and Liv. He didn't know how to react, so Liv jumps on him. This is the best thing about the whole thing. This was the comeback. This was the payback. This was the return to the look Cena gave The Rock when he hugged Coney and you saw that face drop. She jumps into Cena's arms, and the camera's right on her face the same way it was on Cena's, and you see her eyes. Her eyes were never as bright blue as they were on this day, folks. And there she was, and you knew the turn.
It was a dark and stormy night.
You knew the turn, or not even a turn. You knew that she hadn't turned. She was still with Dom. The heels were still together, those good old heels. And that to me was the funniest thing. That was the same thing that Cena did to Cody, and it's never been done again over the rest of the year. This was the only other time. It wasn't like anything to seal the storyline with The Rock and end that. No, that just died.
I was about to say, The Rock had nothing to do with it. It may never be seen again. Who fucking knows?
There were some major stars this year that were involved in programs that started and just never ended. The Rock's thing with Cena and Cody disappeared. Travis Scott disappeared. Jeff Jarrett's retirement year program. That thing started and just completely fucking disappeared.
He was gone in February.
There's a lot of stars who had programs start and vanish in the same year, but I thought that was interesting. They did that here, and Liv's a big star. Dominic's a big star. I'm kind of happy they're not going to break them up.
Well, but then after the balls were kicked, Dominic hit another 619, and Liv hit Cena over the head with the title belt, and Dominic splashed him. And then the referee, after about 4 or 5 minutes, oh shit, 1, 2, 3. So, and now Dominic is again the Intercontinental Champion. I don't have anything wrong with that. So basically, he beat Cena in Cena's hometown, and then, let me try that again. Cena beat, you know what I'm saying, the hometowns. Each hometown they won in. I don't know how to say it. I'm so flustered. But it's just all of these things happening in the same match. It just a little preposterous, is it not? A little overdone? Too many ingredients in the broth?
See, I recognize that. This is my favorite Cena match of the last year, and that's with the caveat of there's a lot of things. There's way too much that was in this match. There are some things that are ridiculous. The amount of time the referee was down didn't bother me as much just because I'm a little more used to that. The referee refusing to count the pin was a cool moment. The fans were more into this match than anything else on the whole show. And it figures.
Yes.
And it figures considering who was in it, these two guys. But I really like this match. And someone's going to say you're inconsistent because you criticize things with whoever, Riho or something, and Roxanne Perez hit that move on Cena. You're right. Roxanne Perez shouldn't have hit that move on Cena. I have no problem with her tripping him. I got a problem with her hitting Canadian destroyers on him, or whatever the fuck that is. But I enjoyed this. Cena's bad acting, again, that would take down any segment, but it kind of works here. I enjoyed this more than any other John Cena match on this comeback, and a lot of that specifically because of how good Dominic is. Dominic's matches are enjoyable. The moment where he got injured, whatever you thought, you're a professional. You could tell by the reaction in the room, they didn't know what to think. So when he hopped up and got on Cena, they reacted big. And they reacted big to everything in this match. And again, a lot of smoke and mirrors. You get the big Liv Morgan return. But I enjoyed the hell out of this. I really did.
I will give you that it was the most exciting thing on this show. And I would like, again, part of it was, this is the county fair in Muhlenberg County, basic wrestling at the start, but then just over and over, it's guest stars and people coming in to, hold on.
If I could ask you a couple things, what do you think of them not breaking up Dom and Liv? Because a lot of people assumed when they went to the Roxanne Perez joining Judgment Day thing, that they were setting it up to perfectly have Liv Morgan come back. Now what's happened to Rhea Ripley has happened to her with the same guy. It would make sense. That's not where they went. I mean, they may still do something with her and Roxanne, but they didn't break up her and Dom, and I think that's the right move, and I almost feel like in years past they would have immediately had her come back and turn her babyface.
But no, now's the time because she's already over. So now's the time for her to come back, and everything with her and Dom is just like it was before, and Roxanne ain't happy about that. And Roxanne can become a backstabbing
that's
home
good.
wrecker. See, wait a minute. She's back now. I got to do something as she rubs her hands together. And then you could put more focus on Roxanne.
Oof. Well, again, a good match. Dominic Mysterio, the new Intercontinental Champion. We'll see what happens in the fallout on WWE Raw. But Jim,
Yes.
there were more matches, but before we get there, no better time than now to talk about music.
None better.
John Cena, known for his hip-hop sounds, known for his one album, known for the one song on the one album that's been played nonstop for 25 years. Folks, we're talking about good music. You need to be able to hear them somehow. We know a way. We love them in our house. You'll love them in yours with RAYCON.
You mean to tell me that on the RAYCONs you can hear the hip hop, hip hop, you don't stop a rockin' to the bang bang boogie, say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat? That stuff?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, in that case, you know what you need, not just the
I need a color TV so I could see the Knicks play basketball. We could do this all day, man. Let's go.
Hear me talking about checkbook, credit card, more money than a sucker could ever spend. Folks, if you are looking for RAYCONs, not just any old RAYCONs, but the essential open earbud RAYCONs that even Big Bank Hank uses. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you what, when they arrived at the Castle Cornette here via special independent courier, and I took them in and handed them to Stacy. Of course, I'm under instructions to always hand over all the RAYCON stuff to Stace. She said, oh, yes, because these are the ones with the gimmick over the ear. So you don't stick it in your ear, you hang it over your ear. And that way, the regular earbuds, they block out everything. So it's like the car that's bearing down on you or the child that's screaming, I'm drowning, mother.
What?
Well, these sit outside your ear canal, so you can hear that as well as your music. So at the same time as you're pulling your kid out of the pond, you can be grooving to the beat.
Again,
It's the open air design, breathable fit,
Yes.
comfort, safety,
Now this part's
and
true.
immersive audio while keeping you aware
Yes.
with a multi-angular hook. The rotating ear hook ensures a secure, personalized fit for any activity. And let's say,
opposed to the no-angle hook, and that's on Dynamite.
Well, that's true, but also these hooks actually make money. And here's something else for any activity. Let's say you want to unstop a drain. You just bend this ear hook a little multi-angularly and you stick it down in there. You pull out that big hunk of hair.
Well, there it is. The moment that we've been waiting for. We have to remind everyone that's not what these are intended to be used for or how they're intended to be used.
Well, see, they've got all kinds of uses. I mean, sometimes if you put these in a slingshot just right, you can peg somebody right in the eye and bing.
Let's
put
not
somebody's
do that.
eye out with that type
Don't
of thing.
do that. Don't hurt anyone. Don't say where you heard that idea. But of course, folks, we're talking about what you can hear.
Yes.
And you can hear lots of musical ideas. Yes.
Ooh, music. They're lightweight. With the flexible ear hook, which adapts to any ear, even, the feather bottoms with their issues, they were able to they had to rig it up with a zip tie, but they got it around that one ear. They've got the multi-point connectivity and 36 hours of battery life. So you get days of nonstop listening. It's the essential open earbuds as opposed to the everyday earbuds that we've talked about in the past. And they're here for the holiday season and they're selling fast. And then once the holidays are gone, you don't know. They may be gone because then people are back to being just deaf and completely dumb, stupid, and unaware of their surroundings. You can run them down in the streets with complete freedom and not worrying about them actually hearing you coming.
There's plenty to worry about. But what we want to stress to you is that some of the examples used in this commercial read may not be approved for home consumption.
I'm just telling you that normally people around the holidays are a little more aware, and then they go back to their own stupid, self-absorbed ways, and they either get run over.
No,
by
they
trucks,
go back. They go back to their ways. They go back to their ways. We can.
They fall in the fountain.
The fountain of life. Yes.
These RAYCONs, if you do not pay attention to where you are and fall in the fountain, they won't fall out of your ears. But it's not recommended that you submerge them for more than 30 seconds to a minute.
You don't have any idea what any submerging recommendations are. This is ridiculous.
If you're underwater long enough that when you come out you're kind of dizzy and they need to pump anything on you, chances are the earbuds are going to be fucked too.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about all of our days on average on land, maybe even in air. But wherever you are, you want that music safely to go with you, Jim, without any other examples, because I think the listeners get the idea.
Get the idea. Without any further ado, whether you're on land or way high in the air, the higher you are, the better you like the RAYCONs, the essential open earbuds, and the RAYCON audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season if you go to BuyRAYCON, BuyRAYCON, BuyRAYCON.com/JCE Open to save on the RAYCON audio products. As I said, up to 20% off with that code JCE Open at BuyRAYCON.com. And that way, if you make it after the holidays and you want to take a chance walking down the street with the old-fashioned kind,
there's never been a
go ahead.
There's never been a better time than now, is what Jim's trying to say, ladies and gentlemen. RAYCON, and once again, that promo code BuyRAYCON.com/JCE Open. And Jim, before you close us down, why don't we move on with the Survivor Series, a big match for the Women's Championship, the champion Stephanie Vaquer versus Nikki Bella.
Woo, boy. I'll tell you what, and here's another thing. They go from 10 women in 2 cages with weapons and garbage cans and everyone diving about. Then they go down to 2 guys, but one of them's the biggest star in the history of the recent world, and they have 2 girls out there and other people interfere. And now we just got 2 girls. And one of them is Nikki Bella. Ooh. Awkward is because remember I've said don't remember I've ever seen a Bella match, so I watched as much of this as I could stomach, and now I've seen a Nikki Bella match. She's got plenty of heel attitude. She's dripping with that. Her work is abysmal. Was this a John Laurinaitis Gold Club hire originally, or what?
I believe she did actually go through developmental with her sister and FCW, and she was obviously on the main roster for a long time, but also during that transition period from divas to women's wrestlers.
Well, again, she's got the attitude of a veteran heel with the way that she was carrying herself, and everything she does look fucking half-ass as shit. And Stephanie was trying. I think Stephanie needs to quit the short headbutts. Just the same thing I told Jacob Fatu, even though, yes, I believe his head is harder than hers, but she's just headbutting people 3 or 4 times and then they're going to something else and she's not acknowledging. Nobody's acknowledging it. Just a little thing. I thought in this match, Stephanie made a comeback. It wasn't. Did people care about this unless they did the thing where they put the head scissors on and the old bump it to the face? What are they calling it now? The devil's kiss? It's been around since the fucking 40s.
I think everyone was waiting for the ass spot, yeah.
And that's the ass spot. Well, really, it's more of a
double ass spot.
You can just look at the asses.
It's 2 asses.
It doesn't affect the asses. Neither ass is taking any punishment. Normally, the old atomic drop, if you call it ass bump, that's because you take a bump on your ass. But now neither ass is being punished. It's just that you get a clear view of them.
Precisely.
Okay. I wrote, "This won't end. It hasn't been long, but it seems like it." Uh, they did some more face bumpy stuff, and then Stephanie went to the top and did a flipping moonsault and 1, 2, 3. And Bella was kind enough to squirm a little bit more into place and look like she was a fucking tighter than the skin on a hot dog, waiting to see where that girl was going to land.
That can't be easy to lay there knowing that's coming.
I wouldn't be. Again, there's no reason to add the twisting pike maneuver like they're at the U.S. Open Diving Championships, but that's where we are these days. And the finish just kind of came out of nowhere, and then it was over. The end. Have I missed anything?
No, I think you covered that match, and there's nothing more I could add to that match. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And then just to show that we're all full of shit, they announced the new Survivor Series record crowd of 46,016 people. What? They're just coming to see the stars make their big entrance and do their big move, and then okay, next. Is that what we've come to here?
It's a whole different world. You know, I watched the other day the first Little Bix. My son wanted to see it because I got him some wrestling figures recently of Survivor Series 87, the first one, Rosemont Horizon, Thanksgiving Day. These people, after whatever they ate, were so fired up and so loud for everything that Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon got one of the loudest pops of the night coming out. It was incredible. They were hot for everything. That ain't the case anymore. It's, you're hot for moments. You're waiting for moments. In WWE, the moments will be theatrical. And it'll happen typically at the end of a match, sometimes in the match, sometimes the middle of the match. You're waiting for that. With AEW, it's more just about moves, just moves, just nonstop moves. With WWE, it's still got this theatrical bent, and when things hit, they hit well, and when things don't, they don't.
So basically, it's kind of like your bowels. It just depends on which way they move.
Big crowd. I guess that's the point.
The big crowd. And then we came to the main event on the 4-match card that drew this goddamn 40 cents, more than 10,000 people a match. We should start breaking that down now. Like, okay, if they drew 40,000 people, they had 5 matches, that's 8,000 people per match, and see what the per match average is. I wonder how far ahead they'd be with that. And again, as I said before, this is all the top talent in the company, almost pretty much everybody. They should have all gone and said, "Look, fuck. Give them their own goddamn pay-per-view. We're not going to go out and do the same kind of goddamn matches the girls have just done an hour and a half ago." But they didn't. So they did. And the very first thing out of the gate, come on, Mussolini, going into KG, wearing a jacket that says Larry's dad.
Oh, God. Just stop.
Did you see that? That was so cute.
Yeah, that was fine. Your singing is a whole nother level of awful.
A whole nother level. See, I'm glad you admit that my singing is a whole nother level.
Of awful.
Jace, if you would clip that audio.
No, you better not. You better not.
Play that whenever I need to remind him of what he said. So we get Punk and Braun Breaker, the first 2 guys. And he put Braun's strength over, but a few times Punk out-quicked him. But then Braun would hit the suplexes, et cetera, et cetera. So at least they're trying to establish this thing. And then here comes Drew McIntyre. And of course, he and Punk hate each other. So he gets in a fight with Punk, and Braun and Drew double team Punk. And I don't know whether this was oh, golly, we've caught you accidentally type of blood. Or, well, they're not supposed to get blood, but things happen. I don't know how the blood happened, but Punk was bleeding somewhat. Cody, when he came out, which, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Well, no, I'm not. Actually, Cody was next out anyway. But Cody had got busted open for real the other night on television, so he had a cut that could realistically have just through exertion. But anyway, we got a little blood in this thing, as opposed to enough to transfuse the entire goddamn landing invasion of Omaha Beach that we got on the AEW show. But again, Cody being out next, the star power is they've got Drew, they've got Breaker, they've got Punk. Now Cody's out. And Drew tried to hold the door closed, so Cody climbed up and came off the top of the cage with a crossbody. And a big comeback. And as he's doing that, he back elbows Punk by mistake. And there's a minute there where they're like, what the fuck? But they continue to work together. And then that's when one thing we said at the top of the show, and I said I'd talk about it during the men's match, when you mentioned that this cage was lower, AEW's was higher, had the roof like the original WarGames did. This one doesn't. When Punk and Cody did the Doomsday Device on Braun Breaker, did you see him land on his head?
Oh, yeah. I was afraid he was hurt just like Dominic earlier.
Well, and
he was still selling it after the match, if you noticed, too.
Yes, because this was not a planned playing possum spot in the match. He landed on his fucking head, and I bet it rung his bell, but that was what happened to J.J. Dillon in the very first WarGames match, July the 4th, 1987, in the Omni in Atlanta, with J.J. and the Horsemen against Dusty and his baby faces. The one they were going to beat was J.J., obviously. That's everybody wants to see it anyway. But when they gave him the Doomsday Device, I think Hawk, because of the roof on the cage, Hawk had to change trajectory because it was too low, and JJ was worried about his feet hitting. Point being, because the roof was too low, JJ landed just like Braun Breaker did here and separated his shoulder and had to have surgery. And that's why the second WarGames at the end of the Bash Tour that year, that was in Miami at the Orange Bowl, originally JJ would have been involved in that one too, but since he'd had surgery, that's why Dusty brought Bubba Rogers back from the UWF, where he'd sent him out in Oklahoma,
the War Machine,
to be the masked War Machine.
Yeah. Because
they had to, and the rib was the day they announced him on Atlanta TV as the War Machine taking JJ's place. Bubba was, as I said, in the UWF, had to fly from Dallas to Atlanta, get a cab to the TBS studio, put the bodysuit and the mask on, stand behind JJ and the Horsemen while they did the interview announcing him, and then get back in the cab and go back to the airport and fly back to Dallas. They just, that was the only thing he fucking did. Just fly out there to stand there in that fucking outfit. And then they beat him in the WarGames in Miami, but never told anybody who he was. Anyhow, we hope that Braun doesn't suffer any lingering effect, but he landed on his head. That's the safest way for a Steiner to land. And then here came Logan Paul. And Logan Paul and Cody do their spot where they sit and fight on the top of the cage. But Braun hit him with a chair and broke that up. And the heels got heat on Cody and Punk. And then Jimmy Uso came out. And poor thing, to try to get him some kind of pop, he got to be the one to slide the Slim Jim table into the cage, and then they didn't even use it. They waited another 20 minutes or whatever. But More heat by the heels. Jimmy didn't make much of a difference. Miscellaneous fighting. Again, this is a lot of guys at this point. There's shit laying there. Shit you got to walk around or try to figure out a way to use or a reason not to use or just wander around. There's no sustained. And they're doing 3 minutes now, aren't they? Instead of 2?
I think so.
So it's longer. It's
less matches needed.
Bronson Reed came in and splashed Punk and splashed Uso and splashed Cody. And the heels beat him up some more.
I don't know if it just stood out because of the cage or if he just did it special on this night. Did you see how high up he was getting on those splashes?
I think it's he always does that, but it's possibly the visual of the cage behind him when he's in the air that makes it look even higher. But no, that boy bouncy. Him and Javon, that'll be the next tag team. Javon Evans and Bronson Reed, they call him the number 10. That's what they'll look like when they walk down the street next to each other. Anyway, then here came Jey Uso. And then he makes his awkward, I'm not going to call it a comeback, I'm going to call it a yeet back. They play his music, he gets in the ring, he has to do the punch that's one half of a beat off and the whole thing, awkward yeet back. And then he and his brother team up and do the team super kicks. And then they restarted his music so everyone could yeet more while the match just came to a complete halt. It's the fucking WarGames. Is it Brian, have you ever seen the movie The Longest Day?
I'm not sure.
There's a reason why it wasn't a musical. It was about the goddamn invasion of Normandy. They didn't stop in the middle of it to run the entrance music back and have a dance off.
You know, there's a reason why you're seeing more pushback to the push of Jey Uso from WWE fans now more than ever before. I think a lot of people are sick of this. And again, doing it in the WarGames, to me, was the worst moment of the night.
Well, anyway, and that was a pretty stiff competition there for a while. So then, as everything was standing stock still, music, it's Brock Lesnar. And he didn't fall down this time. With Paul Heyman, he comes, and they gave the statistic, and this is actually one of the cool statistics instead of just the meaningless ones. The first time in 21 years, Brock Lesnar has been in a tag team match.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He was always used as a single attraction. And anyway,
you know, speaking of him falling down, I just saw the clip the other day of him and Shelton and OVW flipping over the ropes, and Shelton landed and Brock went down.
Yes, that's like, imagine, folks, the buckshot lariat thing that Hangnail Page does, where he springs over the top, lands on his feet. Shelton and Brock had both been doing that in practice. So that's the way they decided they were going to have a snazzy entrance into the ring with their tag team partners, is they're going to both do that. And Shelton, he actually over-rotated. When he landed on his feet, he was still going forward, so he just walked right up and went nose to nose with, it was Rob Conway or whoever he was going to work with. Whereas Brock didn't get quite far enough, and his feet hit, and he landed on his ass, and then he spun around and jumped up to his feet and started doing springy jumps like nobody saw that. And so somebody had tweeted that clip, and I retweeted it. I said, this proves that OVW TV was 25 years ahead of its time. And it got like several thousand of the little Hardy things. But some people are like, what do you mean? This is just developmental. They didn't get the goddamn joke. But when Brock came in, he suplexed every fucking body. He was a one-man wrecking crew. And then he F5'd everybody. And it was basically Brock beating people up for the next 3 minutes. And that woke him up again. People are, oh, shit. And then finally, here comes Roman's music. And Brock gets out of the cage. And there's another thing. They had to do this stuff down on the floor because they hadn't broke a desk yet. So Brock met him in the aisleway, but Roman came up with 3 big Superman punches in the ringside area, and then went for another big one, and Brock scooped him up and F5'd him through the announce desk. And now the War Games could begin.
Was that the way it was, though? Wasn't it? Was the entire match the War Games, and then that was the match beyond?
Or was originally, yes. And originally, that's why that the individual guys coming in intervals and who would have the advantage, those in Dusty's mind, who would have the numerical advantage, I should say, that gets to have the 2 against 1 and 3 against 2. Those in Dusty's mind were the War Games, because the people were playing War Games, jockeying for position. And then as soon as all guys were in the ring, that's when, again, the match beyond would start, and it could only be ended by submission or surrender. And that's why they was originally advertised War Games, the match beyond. And then now, they've taken their liberties, but nevertheless, it can only be, it's still consistent. It can only begin when all 10 guys get in. But usually nobody had been thrown through fucking tables before nevertheless. So then boom, 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 the baby faces started firing up, and Punk hit a go to sleep, and Cody hit a crossroads on Brock, and Logan Paul saved him. And then Paul handed, too many Pauls, pal. Paul Heyman handed Logan Paul his brass knuckles, and Logan Paul knocked out Cody and Uso. But then Roman speared Logan, that is, and took the knucks away. And Superman punched Drew, and Superman punched Bronson Reed, and speared Braun Breaker. And then they did actually a nice spot where Brock was going to F5 one of the Usos, whichever it was, and Roman speared both of them through the fucking table. And anyway, it's all the top guys. They're doing all their top moves. They're kicking it up. So they got it going now. And then Braun stopped Roman and Uso and speared Cody and missed Punk. And suddenly a guy dressed all in black, which has never been done before, climbs over the top of the cage. And he hits Punk with a super kick and a curb stomp, and then climbs out of the cage. Brian, am I being picky with another thing, that the whole idea of the cage in wrestling since the dawn of time was to keep people in, keep other people out, depending on what you were trying to sell, what the psychology was of the match? This motherfucker's not going to be able to escape. He's in a cage, or his friends aren't going to help him because we're in a cage. Everybody, the girls, everybody, the referees just climbing this thing down, in, back, out. Does this help the situation?
Again, it's about the moment and the questions and people wondering who it was and why were they impersonating Rollins. They overlooked the fact that, the whole idea of the War Games was these guys are in here. They can't get out until there's submission or surrender. Also, no one can come in, because if the masked guy could come in, or the hooded guy, why can't everyone else? If that guy could just run in and climb the cage and do a move and get out, what's to stop any other wrestler, let alone any other fan, from doing the same thing.
Half the guys in this match came out or got in it by fucking climbing. I think a couple of the girls did. So so the guy in black does that and he leaves and Braun spears Punk 1, 2, 3. And I believe that we'll see, good Lord willing and a creek don't rise, as Aunt Lola used to say. It'll be Punk and Braun Breaker for the title at WrestleMania. The guy in black, from what we are being led to believe, and we will find out possibly by the end of this podcast we're doing, if Raw intervenes, but it's allegedly Austin Theory, which makes sense because Heyman, that's the only young superstar, budding guy with talent to be a superstar that they're ignoring right now, and Heyman would want him if the speculation has been that he's not a mental incompetent and they've just been punishing him because he was Vince's guy or whatever. That'll be the best place for Theory with Heyman. And then after the baby faces were licking their wounds when the heels had already gone off to the victory party, Roman told Cody they would not be teaming again, is what I heard, as they were going off the air and the announcers were trying to awkwardly stay silent so we could hear what we were supposed to hear.
You brought up, you think Punk and Braun at WrestleMania. What do you think of the rumors going around that'll be Cody and Roman? Cody and Roman 3 at WrestleMania.
I wouldn't be surprised because of what they've just said here, but I don't know how excited I am about it. Do you?
I think Cody's needed something new for a while. I'm kind of sick of the Usos, and that ties in with Roman, who appears every now and then and does his slow walk to the ring. They'll have to do something to heat that program up. Hopefully it does not involve The Rock. But who knows? But
I'd like to see Cody and Orton. But I guess that's SummerSlam.
Well, we'll see. I don't even know where Orton is right now. But that was Survivor Series at Petco Park. Jim, after Survivor Series, a moment a lot of people are talking about. I don't know how much of the post-show you got to see, if any. It was actually quite the spectacle because they now do this outdoor thing akin to ESPN or other live athletic events where Joe Tessitore and I think Peter Rosenberg was with him and Big E. They're out there as the fans are leaving. They're all behind him. It looked like Woodstock. It looked like they had about 40,000 people out there for this. And Heyman and the heels, Heyman and Logan and the Bronze, them hamming it up in the heel way on that stage in front of all those people was incredible. But there's a moment going around on video that was not.
Well, I was about to say I needed context because I've seen what you're going to talk about, but I didn't know it was them going to the post-show, set or appear as a part of the post-show. They're on the way to that, correct?
The post-show podium, I guess we could say, but
post-show podium.
A young fan, at least based on appearance, tried to rush towards Paul Heyman, maybe to get a hug or a wallet. Who knows?
No, I tell you what, it looked like he was thrilled to see the fucking, the penguin in person, and he was running up to give him the big hug around his waist.
Well, you always have to be careful that fan doesn't have an umbrella or something, but Paul Heyman reacted to the fan getting near him by pushing him, shoving him, blocking him. Some thought it may have been too aggressive. Some thought that's what he should have done. What are your thoughts on this? I know you saw this part.
Oh, God. And now this is another one where the people that want to hear me knocking Heyman are only going to hear some of the things I'm saying, and the people that want to fucking not like what I'm saying or not like me are going to say, oh, you'd have done the same thing or whatever the fuck. So I encourage everybody check the video out because a lot of big deal is being made about very little of anything. But yes, they're walking the heels, I guess, through the crowded area to go be a part of the post-show thing. And this kid, I can't judge children's ages. Knowing how tall Heyman is, I'm saying the kid was 3'6" to 4 feet tall. What age range? You have more of a specialism in children than I do.
I don't know if they were that small. It appeared to be someone, maybe a teenager, I would think.
No, come on, find that clip and tell me
Hold
the
on.
kid's, I think 11, 12. Maybe he's a puny 13. I don't know, but he's 4 feet tall. Is all I'm saying to you. But the kid it runs around. I think it looked like he maybe was with his dad or whatever. But the kid runs up on Heyman like he's going to hug him. Or it seems overly pleased to see Heyman. That's what I couldn't figure out. And Heyman reaches down with both hands and just kind of shoves him back into the little crowd area there and goes on by. And the point being, a lot of people are saying, well, that's Heyman. He's a heel 24/7. And, he's just staying in character. And there's an element of that. And there's also an element of I've whacked a few people coming at me in my time, but that was a long time ago. From this individual kid in this moment with the look on his face, he was not presenting any danger. I think we're past the point where these people, or anybody expects to get knifed if they're walking through the crowd anyway. But I probably would have, hooked him under the arms a little bit and just walked by him with a little less aggressiveness or vehemence or whatever that Paul moved him over with. But at the same time, it wasn't him just walking up and fucking whacking the kid over the head with his fucking phone.
I would say the kid's about 12 years old if I'm looking at this video a few times.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the point is, it was a little energetic, in my opinion. I don't even think I would have done that to that. If it'd been 15 or 16, yeah, you're getting a fucking pie face, motherfucker. But no, there's a little much, but it wasn't like nobody got hurt. And Heyman was probably, they were rushing him. I've been in that position too. Get over there now. And B, he was probably pissed off that he's got to walk through this kind of halfway open area with no barricades, all of them with people coming in and et cetera, instead of. So I could see both sides, but I think Paul was a little fucking energetic with the kid. What do you think?
It's one thing if someone grabs you or something, but the kid literally walks in front of Paul with one arm on one shoulder and he reaches for the other shoulder, almost like in a hug position.
Yeah.
Heyman grabs his arms and just shoves him out of the way. I mean, again, it wasn't like he just touched him on the shoulder or something. He jumped in front of him. Heyman had to move him or he had to stop. Those are the two options. Move him or stop.
Well, and, again, no.
A body in motion tends to stay in motion, so Heyman wanted to keep moving.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to turn a battleship on a dime, so I can understand Heyman not being able to quickly. But if he'd been a normal... If he was a normal-sized human, there's a way you could actually just hug the kid and turn to your left and just pirouette around the kid and keep moving. But he chose instead to just remove the blockage because I guess Heyman's past a point where he can pirouette.
Well, that was WWE Survivor Series 20. I'm hitting all sorts of things. Survivor Series 2025.
And also, you've got to think, Brian, that another thing, the kid was so close to Heyman, he was using some of Paul's oxygen because it takes a lot of oxygen to fucking move a massive humanity like that.
Once again, Survivor Series WarGames at Petco Park. We shall return momentarily after this short commercial timeout. All right, Jim, well, there's been a lot of show, and we have a long way to go. A lot more fun to be had. I can't speak.
A lot more fun to happy have.
Well, of course, one of the reasons that I may be lagging a little bit is I need a good night's sleep. I'm a little tired right now. I wish I could just run upstairs and jump on my HELIX sleep mattress and dream away.
And sleep. And just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Young man, and let me handle this because I'll tell you what you need to do. You needed a HELIX sleep mattress behind that kid that Heyman just flying beeled across the room. That would have been the answer there. And see, when the kid came at him, as a matter of fact, come to think of it, I believe now on further retrospect, when examining the situation, I think the kid may have had a knife. And so what Heyman did was he neutralized the hand with the knife and he got under his armpit and he flying beeled him across the room. But it wouldn't have been a problem if he'd have had a HELIX sleep mattress to land on, just like all these other chuckle fucks around the country putting the videos of themselves up on Twitter being hip tossed off the porch and cross bodying off the second story deck and power bombing on the concrete slab. They need a HELIX mattress to do all those things on, like the Buckaroos had. When they were out in their backyard, I'm sure they were on a HELIX sleep mattress because them boys is bouncy, them HELIX sleep mattresses. Why, you give a leg drop on those and you'll just fly right back up in the air.
Well, again, with HELIX Sleep, one of the great things about HELIX Sleep is that you find the mattress that's right for you. Maybe you don't want a bouncy mattress. Maybe you want a firm mattress for a firm night's sleep.
Well, in that case, if you want a firm mattress, then when you get thrown off a second story deck or something like that, you'll just go, pfft. See, I'm trying to help these people, but it's up to them. But if you just want to go to sleep, as a matter of fact, when you get hip tossed on a HELIX sleep mattress, Brian, when you bounce the first time you bounce, by the time you get a foot up in the air, you are sound asleep.
Again, that's
because just touching that HELIX sleep mattress makes your whole body just shut down.
It does not make your body shut down. What it does, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that sleep that you're having every night, but better because it's on a better mattress. That's the change. That's the change in your life, your lifestyle, and everything else will be rosy.
No, Brian, you're short selling everything here about the HELIX sleep mattress because it affects all parts of your life because your sleep is your regenerative phase. That's where you recoup all your lost energy and you let your cells and your corpuscles and everything rejuvenate and regenerate and recombobulate into the person you are today. That's what's made you. What you are today is sleeping, Brian, and you should do more of it. And if you're on a HELIX sleep mattress, like I said, boom, you touch that thing, every organ in your body is just going to go, no. It's like they unplugged
you. Metaphorically, it'll be like they unplugged you and you're going to have a good night's sleep. But in reality and in the real world, outside of Slumberland, your body will be there, your soul and mind
Are you
will be
saying
intact.
that your soul and mind leaves your body and goes out into the real world while you're still laying on the HELIX sleep mattress as a physical being? Can you look down on people, Brian, in the big cities and see their ant-like presence because you're floating up there? And goddamn.
Listen, poor Casper the Friendly Ghost. Every time he tried to say hello to someone, they screamed and ran. The point, ladies and gentlemen, the point is, we all need a good night's sleep, and this is a safe and fun, well, I shouldn't say fun. You don't think of it as a fun night's sleep. It's a good night's sleep that we endorse. We have these mattresses here at Last Manor, and of course, Jim has them over there in the house. Inside the house.
I'm looking forward this holiday season to having a good night's sleep on one of the HELIX mattresses I have because I'm so busy I never get a chance to lay down. But folks, if you don't have that, if you'd like to just stretch out and lay there like they're ready to have words spoken over you, right now go to helixsleep.com/JCE because I'll tell you what, if you use that code /JCE, you're going to get 27% off the fine mattresses that whether they're firm or whether they're hard or whether they're soft or whether the boys be bouncy, whatever it may be, you will love to bounce your boys around on a HELIX, metaphorically, of course, on a HELIX sleep mattress, helixsleep.com/JCE, 27% off. They keep doing this and I don't know why. They won't tell us why they're giving people this kind of deal. Must be some kind of fucking Honduran money laundering strategy.
It's a regular, good old-fashioned American business doing American business stuff. HELIX Sleep, a great mattress for you. One more time, Jim, that promo code.
helixsleep.com/JCE. I thought Helix was of French descent.